be the first person to do this. Not to get in line, you got another one.
Nintendo is quite possibly the most anti-consumer company of all time. Most gamers generally agree, but recently there's been some things happening that go deeper than just a company being greedy. We all know about the usual stuff like the broken Joy-Cons, recycled games, the lawsuits, and charging $80 for their exclusive games like Mario Kart World. But now the company's decisions are affecting the entire market, and it's worse than you might realize. And it all starts with nostalgia. In the new Nintendo Direct, the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake was teased for the Switch 2. People have been begging for a new Zelda for years, and everyone was hyped right until they realized this game is being marketed as a remaster of the Nintendo 64. This is the 8th time that Ocarina of Time has been released since it came out. As time goes on, Nintendo has become a company that caters more to millennials and adults instead of kids. They're banking on adults with disposable income and full-time jobs to keep buying their products, and it's actually been paying off for them. The thing is, Nintendo has a creativity problem. When Nintendo releases a new game or some bullshit gimmick that flops, they go back to the same stuff that already works. They've been recycling the same games over and over, but their fans keep defending them. It's almost become a meme that Nintendo adults are the new Disney adults, and in a way it's true. They're both paying for nostalgia or paying for a feeling of their childhood. But what makes Nintendo different than any other company is that they've used their trust and reputation to raise the floor on the entire industry. Now when Nintendo decides that $80 is the new norm, every other company starts to follow. They have decided that physical games don't need the actual game on it anymore. And when you pay for their consoles and games, you don't actually own it. This is the new standard for the industry. And Pokemon is the biggest media franchise of all time. But lately, Nintendo has kind of been using it like a piggy bank and milking the fans instead of building it into the series that we've all came to love. Pokemon Legends ZA came out and is considered one of the weakest mainline games with reused assets and the graphics looking like it came from the PS2 era. The new spin-offs feel lazier every year, and it doesn't matter because Pokemon prints money no matter how bad the product quality is. And even the modern Pokemon TCG plays into this. For most of its life, the Pokemon TCG was a kid's game, but over time it's been turned into an investment and a way to make money by adults. And we've talked a lot about scalpers and problems in the community like the OF girls using the TCG to target kids, but as time has gone on, it's just getting harder for real fans to buy product. And like most fans, I've been collecting Pokemon cards for pretty much my entire life. I even still have this Gold Star Celebi from back in the day. I probably should have taken better care of this as a kid. And as a longtime collector myself, I want to talk about Courtyard. It's a marketplace where you can vault your graded cards, and once they're digitized in their system, you could trade them with anyone in the world without having to touch the physical cards. Shopping just got fun with Courtyard because the app lets you rip packs online at different price points just as if you're opening the physical pack. The best part is the odds are fully transparent and shown up front. And even the chase cards are revealed before you open the pack. And when you open the pack and see what was pulled, you can decide if you want to sell it or leave it vaulted or even have Courtyard ship the physical card to you in just a couple of days. And every card is authenticated and fully insured and even stored in a climate controlled vault. There are no seller fees or buyer fees, and they have a guaranteed buyback offer on every single pack. Courtyard is leading the next generation of commerce, and if you collect Pokemon or comic books or sports cards, this is where the hobby is heading. So use my code Paradigms for 15% off on your first pack. The link is in the description, or you can scan the QR code on the screen now. Thank you Courtyard for sponsoring this video. Throughout the years, one of the issues Nintendo has created for the community was popularizing cozy games. Cozy games are those low-stress farming and decorating games that are made for you to relax. Most of these are built around doing these little tasks with no challenge like fishing or going around and talking to cute little NPCs. And the game that really blew the genre up to what it is today is Animal Crossing New Horizons. It launched back at the beginning of 2020 when everyone was locked inside, and it was massive, selling over 40 million copies. This game took the casual gamers and even people who never played before and pulled them into the cozy gaming space. Nintendo went triple platinum with New Horizons and then more or less just decided to abandon it. Now New Horizons is 6 years old at this point, and there's still no real follow-up other than the Switch 2 edition edition, which is really just an update. Literally, the most successful cozy franchise ever has just been left to the wayside while their fans are waiting every single year for a sequel that never comes. So now the rest of the industry saw the success of Animal Crossing and they're trying to fill in the gap. Game developers saw Animal Crossing selling millions of copies and are now creating their own versions. But all of these have become cash grabs. We see Stardew Valley knockoffs, Animal Crossing knockoffs, even these AI slop farming sims with no real effort put into them. A lot of these games were built by people who looked at the cozy fans, mostly women and casual players, and just assumed that they'd buy any cozy game as long as it looked cute. And surprisingly, it's kind of actually worked out pretty well for them. There are now these influencers who have built their entire career off of promoting cozy games, and they get paid by these developers to be corporate shills by promoting whatever trash they put out there. The community that plays these games has been talking about this problem for years. They can tell the difference between something that's made with care and respect versus a game that's just milking fans. Stardew Valley was made by a guy who dedicated his life for 5 to 10 years building it. And now to this day, it's still supported and given free updates ever since its release almost a decade ago. This should be the bar for the cozy gaming space. Meanwhile, Nintendo, basically the company that has been reinventing the whole space, is just sitting on Animal Crossing and decides to do nothing with it. And with the release of Mario Kart World is whenever all these problems in the Nintendo space start becoming everyone else's problem too. The game launched at $80, being the first standard AAA game to ever hit that price. And the defense that fans keep making is that it's an open world and bigger than any other game before it. But the open world ended up being the weakest part of the game. You wander around and find stickers for your car that no one ever looks at, and you collect all of the coins, but it has no real reward. It has no story, and it's really just one of those games that you play whenever your family or friends come over after the novelty is worn off. And now, more than a year has passed without any new content. We haven't seen any new tracks or characters or even just a small event. The only thing that Nintendo has done to the game in its first year of a release was to remove the option to skip the intermission tracks in Grand Prix, which has somehow made the $80 game worse than it was when it first launched. But this is where the creativity of Nintendo's unethical business practices really starts to show. Mario Kart World being $80 was intentional. They already know that Mario Kart is the best-selling game on every Nintendo console, and they knew people would want to get it bundled with the system at $50 digital. So they just slapped $80 on the base game and then threw it in the bundle for $50 and let the bundle absorb all of the costs. And this wasn't even the only $80 game whenever the Nintendo Switch 2 launched. The Switch 2 port of Tears of the Kingdom was also $80. Everyone just assumes that a Switch 2 edition is just the base game plus $20 of DLC. So if you pay $70 for Tears of the Kingdom, you get the Switch 1 version with a lower frame rate and worse performance. So to play the Switch 2 version, you're paying $80, which is the same game that just unlocks a higher frame rate. And now for any Nintendo exclusive game, $80 has become the standard. Just like with the new Fire Emblem game for the Switch 2, there's no bundle. If you want to get a physical version, it's $80 and digital is $70. I refuse to believe that Fire Emblem is worth $80 and that Nintendo is just generously discounting for a digital version. The problem is most Nintendo fans value physical games. Charging $10 more to take advantage of these fans is just so scummy. It's like there's a physical tax on games now, and we see it everywhere with Nintendo products. And just like all of the launch titles like Donkey Kong Bonanza, those launched at $70 physical and $60 digital. And in just a matter of a year, games that used to be $70 to get the physical version are now increased and taxed by $10. And it's counterintuitive because Nintendo is squeezing the money out of their real fans who want to have a physical game. Meanwhile, the casual fans could care less if they get a physical version of the game and they don't mind spending $10 less. This is a marketing tactic used so they feel good about paying for something that's already still overpriced. And just like we expected, Nintendo has proved that their $80 games still will sell, and now other developers are starting to price their games accordingly. With GTA 6, the standard edition is $80 and the ultimate edition is $100, and there's not even a physical disc. If you decide to buy the physical version of the game, you just get a code in the box. It's literally just the plastic with a slip of paper with a download code. And whenever other companies, in this case Rockstar, sees what Nintendo has been doing, like implementing the game key cards, they realize they can do the same thing, but in this case, the reason why they don't have a disc isn't even for pricing or convenience. Rockstar Games is trying to intentionally kill the secondhand market. Having no disc means that there's no reselling or trading in or just buying it used. Whenever you redeem the code into your library, it's the exact same as a digital purchase and you can't sell it. And this is really bad news for local game game stores and even stores like GameStop, because there are no secondhand copies of GTA 6. And with the game comes the GTA Plus trial that they try and frame like it's a free gift. The issue is whenever you redeem it, you get enrolled in recurring billing unless you go and cancel it yourself. This is all designed to get a credit card into a subscription to make you forget that you paid for. And so now Rockstar has even decided to lock the actual shops and locations in the game behind the $100 Ultimate Edition tier. They included a ton of different shops and missions and cosmetics that are all blocked off unless you pay the extra $20. And they've structured this in a way that whenever you buy the standard edition and realize all of the things you're missing out on, you can pay an extra $20 to upgrade to the Ultimate Edition, kind of like a DLC. They wanted to price the game for $90 or $100 out of the gate, but they realized that fans would be upset by that, so they had to intentionally lock things behind a paywall to be able to justify that price. And all of this is to say that other companies like Rockstar have been biting off what Nintendo has been doing for years to their customers because they can get away with it. And really, I understand the argument of GTA 6 because it's one of those games that you really get your money's worth out of it, but it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's like if you justify this game being worth $80 or $100, every other game within the industry will follow. Like imagine every single brand new AAA game that you buy is $100 out of the gate in a couple years from now. It's just become so anti-consumer and unaffordable for anyone who genuinely loves games. And ironically, GTA 6 is also going to launch on the Nintendo Switch 2. I can already see the memes of how bad this game is going to run. And as bad as the Switch 2 editions already are, Nintendo is doing things to the games that you've already bought and paid for years ago. For example, look at Super Mario Wonder. Now there's an upgraded version and Nintendo wants you to pay for it again. If you compare that to Steam, they already have these quality of life updates and performance patches to games that you already own for free. And they're all automatically updated because that's how it's supposed to work. Whereas on Nintendo, an update to a game that you already own is now a product that they're trying to sell to you. Breath of the Wild came out almost a decade ago and they've been repackaging this game on every single new console that they release. It literally costs more money today than it did at its initial launch, and on top of the full price, there's a $10 upgrade pack to get the Switch 2 version that just bumps the frame rate. And Nintendo has an intentional strategy for the way they price their games without essentially ever putting the games on sale. In an industry like gaming, most products lose their value over time, but Nintendo has somehow convinced their entire fan base that their games are like a luxury good that holds its value forever, almost like an investment. On the secondary market, most Nintendo games still hold their value for years after they've been released. For a lot of local game stores, some of the only reasons that they're profitable is because they resell Nintendo products. And whenever we thought gaming couldn't get more expensive than it already is, the price of the hardware itself is about to start climbing across the board for every single console. Starting September 1st, the Switch 2 is going from $450 to $500 in the US and $680 in Canada. And on the same day, they're taking away the bundles that come with the free games like Mario Kart World that comes with the console. Right now, there's a global shortage on memory chips that go in every console, phone, and laptop, and the reason for it is AI. Companies like Meta, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon are dumping billions into their AI data centers, and every server has NVIDIA chips taking an insane amount of memory. Right now, memory prices are up 80 to 90% in the first 3 months of 2026 alone. And this problem isn't just for consoles either. The PS5 and Xbox Series X are going to hit $650 later this year, and now the Valve Steam Deck is jumping up from $650 to $950. And if you want the 2TB version, you're paying $1,919. Even though this is happening across the entire industry of technology, Nintendo is showing just how little they care about their consumers and fans. The Switch 2 was $450, already 50% more than the original Switch, and they already set the $80 game standard before the memory issues started. They refused to cover the increased cost, so they just decided to pass down the cost to gamers. Every time Nintendo puts out a direct, they put something at the very end to get fans excited. This time they decided to remake Ocarina of Time. Like I said, this game has been sold to you 8 different times, and they showed pretty much nothing with no gameplay for a game that's supposedly coming out this year. In this same direct, they burned through a full 2 minutes of a live thumb wrestling demo for Nintendo Switch Sports. This just shows how cooked the company is at this point. And the timing whenever they release these remakes is intentional. The Ocarina of Time remake is dropping later this year, and the Zelda movie is coming out next year. They're intentionally feeding each other on purpose. And they did the same exact thing with the Mario movie. And if you still want to give Nintendo the benefit of the doubt, I want to show you what they've been doing with their planned obsolescence. Last year, France fined Nintendo 35 million euros, roughly about $46 million American. This came out after regulators have found out that Nintendo knew about their Joy-Con drift and chose not to tell their customers, and that by hiding it, they pushed people into buying replacement controllers instead of asking for the free repairs that they were owed. They have actively concealed this problem. It's become such a universal problem that so many Nintendo Switch players have dealt with that the advice on every gaming forum for years is just to buy a Pro controller instead. Essentially, Nintendo's in trouble because they created the initial problem and now they're charging $80 to get the upgraded Pro controller. And as much as we can talk about the key cards and not owning your games and all of the subscription fees, one of the main reasons these problems keep happening over and over and nothing is fixed is because of their fan base. I'm not just talking about general fans. These are the people who have made Nintendo a part of their identity. It's become so parasocial that whenever someone criticizes the company, they feel like it's a personal attack on them. If you talk about the Joy-Con problems, they'll just tell you to buy a Pro controller. Or if you say that $80 shouldn't be the standard for a base game, they'll just say you're broke and you can't afford it. They refuse to accept that the favorite company that they grew up with is just anti-consumer. It's like, imagine walking into your favorite restaurant that you've been eating at every single week for 20 years. You absolutely love this place, and then one day they just randomly decide to cut the portions down into like a quarter of what they normally give you. And then they start raising the menu prices across the board, and the quality goes down, and they start charging for refills. Most logical, normal people would complain and say that they want the restaurant to be at the quality that it used to be at. But then there's someone else who yells at you and says, if you're not happy with it, just go eat somewhere else. This is what's happening whenever Nintendo gets criticized. They continue to raise the prices because millions of people have proved that they will pay for it time and time again. And before you know it, the $80 games will slowly move up to $90 and then $100. Nintendo has built a culture that takes them away from any sort of consequences. The ones who keep buying their bullshit regardless of the price increases are the ones who make it worse for general consumers and casual fans. But now it's on us as consumers to decide if it's really worth spending $80 on a company that doesn't give a shit about you. Every time you do, you're voting with your wallet, validating companies that this should be the new standard. Because before you know it, a $100 video game base price will become the thing that everyone just blindly accepts. But let me know, have you ever paid $70 or $80 for a game and genuinely felt like it was worth the price? And as a consumer of Nintendo products myself, I just hate seeing them constantly take advantage of their fans. And if you like content like this, make sure you go and buy some Nintendo amiibos to put on your shelf, because apparently they're worth like fucking $50 now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.